Welcome all to another video on the Let's Talk FPL channel. My name is Ted. You can follow me on Twitter at TedTalksFPL. I've got some combined blank game week predictions for you this week, guys, focusing on some top forwards, midfielders and defenders who play in game weeks 31 and 33. So if you were playing your free hit in 32, this could be some really useful information. There are 10 teams that play in 31 and 8 of those are also confirmed for playing in 33. Only Newcastle and Fulham have to await the results of the FA Cup quarterfinals to see if they avoid a blank. We'll have a look at the points predictions for each position and then look at the reasons why, and then I'll finish with a look at my team and captaincy for 31. So without further ado, let's get started. So here we have it, guys, combined predictions for forwards for game weeks 31 and 33, broken down by appearance points, goal points, assist points, bonus points, and then the total for those 2 game weeks. I've got 8 forwards here for you guys. Firmino, Ashley Barnes, Vardy, Higuain, Rondon, Callum Wilson, Josh King, and Mitrovic. These guys are predicted to do the best out of the forwards in game weeks 31 and 33. There are some missing, the likes of Arnautovic I haven't included because he hasn't had enough minutes to make a logical prediction. So as we can see, Firmino, top of the pops, hitting it up with 12.9 points right at the top, predicted to do the best. Yes, he's got some really easy fixtures, well, not easy fixtures, good fixtures, Fulham and Southampton, really decent, he can really excel at those. Ashley Barnes really excelling up there, doing really well with the likes of Vardy and Higuain languishing behind Ashley Barnes. But Ashley Barnes, we've seen a bit turn of form recently, so see if we can keep it up in the next 2. Rondon, Wilson, Josh King, Mitrovic, all slightly behind those guys, but still predicted to do well. Maybe not Mitrovic, he's got some tough fixtures. Liverpool, and who else have they got? Watford, and that's not even confirmed. So he's still doing well, but maybe I would avoid Mitrovic. Let's move on to see why these guys are predicted to do well. So let's have a look at the quality, guys. These lines represent the quality of chances they're getting. The metric is expected goals per shot, and I'll tell you why that's so important compared to expected goals by itself. XG per shot offers some context as to how these people are shooting. Let's say you had 2 players in one match who had an XG of 2, but one player had 20 shots with a 0.1 XG, and the other player had 4 shots with an XG of 0.5. I would have much more confidence in the player with 4 shots of 0.5 XG to be scoring than I would with the former player. That former player probably shooting from far out, the second player shooting much closer to the goal. So let's see how that applies to our forwards. Firmino, much higher than the rest, much steeper line, much higher XG per shot, and King down there at the bottom. 2 sets forming here. Firmino, Barnes, Vardy, typically with better quality chances. Wilson, Mitrovic, Rondon, Higuain, King down at the bottom. Now, I wouldn't say that Wilson was necessarily best placed down there. I think he could probably be a bit higher, but that's probably because he's had a bit of time off. This metric XG per shot has been taken for the entire season, so it is reflective. There isn't necessarily any recent form that's missing or anything like that. So what this allows us, guys, to see is if they all score the same threat points, 250 let's say, which is effectively the number of shots they've had, this gives us a template to see how many goals they're likely to score in those matches. Okay, let's move on. Let's have a look at the average shooting position of these forwards, guys. All pretty similar. Vardy, Wilson, Firmino up there at the top near that green zone. Further on than the penalty spot, and those are really good positions to shoot from. Average shooting position is not necessarily the only factor that reflects average XG per shot. It's the players they play around with. If they've got really creative players that are able to fashion these really high XG chances for them, then that's going to really help their chances of scoring a goal. Firmino, he's got Salah. Wilson, when Fraser's playing, they link up really well. Vardy's got Maddison. Rondon, you know, there are less creative players in Newcastle. Maybe Almiron can offer something going forward. Barnes, he's got Goodmanson, he's got Westwood. Some really creative players in that Burnley side. and Barnes really does get those really clear-cut opportunities. Higuain yet to fashion a really good quality relationship with Hazard. Mitrovic, Fulham are struggling at the moment, and he's shooting further away from goal, so he looks like the less likely option to have those clear-cut options. King really suffers without the penalties. Wilson seems like the better option in that Bournemouth side. Let's move on to the quantity of shots they have. This is the last 6 game weeks worth of threat points and the goals that they've scored. Vardy up there with 5, Mitrovic down there with none. The threat points have been adjusted for our forecast by fixture. You can see those faded blue circles are where they are currently, where they have been in the last 6 weeks, and then they've been adjusted by the quality of fixtures going forward. So Vardy, Wilson, Firmino, King, with those big adjustments, we expected them to have a lot more shots going forward. And then we can marry that up with the template of the quality to see how many goals we expect to see in these 2 fixtures, these 2 blank fixtures. Mitrovic, the only one here that expected to have less shots. That's because he has some tough fixtures. Let's have a look at the creativity and assist potential for these forwards. We'll start with the quality again. Those lines similar to the threat and the goals, that is XA per chance created. So the quality of the chance that they can create for their teammates. Firmino up there, higher. He can fashion a really clear-cut chance with Mane or Salah. Not surprised to see him that far up. And then the other guys in a big lump behind, Mitrovic languishing behind. Wilson next best. So Wilson linking up with Fraser really does show that he can create a clear opportunity for Fraser. So once again, this is a template that we can use to see if they all score the same number of creativity points, how many assists they're expected to see. So let's move on to see where they typically create their chances. We've got average chances created position here, guys, for all matches for those forwards. All of them pretty similar, just outside the edge of that box, barring Wilson, who's just inside. It means that they're all creating very similar chances. That maybe a through ball through the last line of defence. Typically with forwards, we see less creativity than the midfielders, so we'll probably dwell on this far less. But Firmino, out of all of them, seems like the best option in terms of assist potential. So let's see how many chances that they typically create. Quantity, guys, the amount of chances they create, creativity, assists. This is the last 6 game weeks. We've got the number of assists that they've had. We've got the number of creativity points. Any player that hasn't played in the last 6 game weeks, full amount of minutes, I've adjusted to make sure that they're like-for-like comparisons. Firmino, pretty good creativity, but actually King is expected to have more, and so is Rondon at the top. And you can see Rondon's there, the only guy with the 2 assists in the last 6 game weeks. Mitrovic is expected to have slightly less chances, even though he doesn't have many anyway. All of the rest of them are expected to improve because they have excellent fixtures. So we'll marry that up with our template for quality, for creativity and assists, and that's why you've got the predictions for the forwards in the assist category combining for the total. So that explains why Firmino is possibly the best assister and has the greatest assist potential in the next couple of game weeks. Let's move on to midfielders. So here we have it, guys, the predictions for the midfielders broken down by appearance points, goal points, assist points, clean sheet points that the forwards didn't have, bonus points, and then the total summarised at the end. There you go, Salah at the top. And now there's going to be some debate this season about, well, in this game week I should say, about whether Salah can bounce back from his lack of form. I'm going to trust him, guys. I'm probably going to put the captain on him this week. Mane looks in good form, but he's predicted to do slightly less than Salah in the next couple of game weeks. Liverpool with those 2 really good fixtures, Fulham and Southampton. Maddison and Harvey Barnes, there you go, the 2 Leicester midfielders predicted to do well as well. Over Hazard. Hazard isn't predicted to do as well. Brooks and Fraser down at the bottom. Brooks has been out for a little bit and they've had some tough fixtures, so a lot of assumptions made with Brooks. Perhaps he can come back with a higher points total in these 2 game weeks, but we will have to see. So let's have a look at the reasons why these midfielders are predicted to do well. Started with the quality, the XG per shot. Mane at the top, better than Salah. Mane's getting those better quality chances. And Salah slightly far behind. So why is Salah predicted to do better than Mane? Perhaps he's having more shots, but we'll come to that afterwards. Mane, Salah, and Brooks broken away at the top there with the higher quality chances. Maddison, Fraser, Hazard, Barnes, possibly the more creative of the midfielders. Maybe not Barnes. I think Barnes is quite a threatening guy, likes to get in the box. So we'll have to see with Barnes. Maybe he can improve on this the quality chances with a new manager, Brendan Rodgers, who will get something out of him. His relationships with his teammates. He's one for the future, perhaps. If you take a punt on him in 31 and 33, then best of luck to you. I think he's a really good opportunity to get some differential points. So once again, this is the template. If they all have the same number of threat points, Mane's predicted to convert those chances into goals better than the other 3. So let's have a look at where they shoot from. Mane shooting much closer to goal than the rest. That's why he's got the higher quality chances. Salah and Brooks slightly close behind. So this is much more clear-cut than the forwards. This really does show why they're getting the clearer cut quality chances, I should say. Look at Maddison, shooting really far out. He's an example of that player I said with loads of shots, possibly with a low XG. That's why XG per shot is such a useful bit of a metric to offer some context, just the type of player that we're putting in our teams. Hazard slightly further out, edge of the box. Fraser possibly not offering those amazing clear-cut opportunities. Let's see how many shots these guys are having. Mane, 6 goals in the last 6 games, up there at the top, but not as many threat points as Salah and Harvey Barnes, which is possibly why Salah is predicted to do better than Mane overall. And I'm sure the creativity and assist potential is greater as well. Fraser, Maddison, Brooks, not really offering that many shots compared to the other guys. Hazard up there with 3 goals and middling threat points, all adjusted by fixture. We all think that they're going to have more shots in the next couple of fixtures because their previous 6 fixtures have been more difficult. So let's move on and see their creativity and their assist potential. Starting with the quality, there we go. Salah with the better chances, the better quality chances he creates for his teammate, and Mane slightly behind. So they've switched that position with the threat and the creativity. Much more tightly knit. Sadly, Barnes down at the bottom again. His quality isn't good for assists. It's not good for goals. He's not fashioning those clear-cut opportunities for his teammates, so he needs to work on that. Maddison only slightly better, and Hazard up there. He's always more creative than he is threatening in my point of view. So an assist for Hazard is more likely in my book than a goal necessarily. His goal at the weekend was a wonder shot outside the box, a fantastic goal. But how many is he gonna score regularly like that? So let's move on to where these guys create their chances from. Harvey Barnes up there in the box. That's really good for Harvey Barnes because when you're creating chances inside the box, you've only got a short amount of distance for that ball to travel before the other player takes their shot. So that's more likely to fashion a higher XG per shot than maybe the other guys. But why is he at the bottom? Something's a bit amiss there. He's not doing the right thing in the box, perhaps. Maybe he's cutting it back and the people are shooting and it's being blocked or something. But it's definitely some promising signs for Barnes, I reckon. Fraser similar. Fraser likes to link up with Wilson now that he's back. Maybe Fraser can get some more assists. He already got one last weekend. Maddison there, down at the bottom, once again pulling the strings from the edge of the box, maybe even further out than that. So these guys, they're creating chances. How many can they convert in the blank game weeks? Well, how many chances have they created in the last 6 game weeks? Look at that. Madison absolutely thumping the creativity metric down there. 520 creativity points in the last 6. Well, it's not quite as much because that's being adjusted per fixture because he's got some easy ones coming up. But 520 in 6 game weeks is exceptional. That is why you pick Madison in my book. He is really pulling the strings. So much goes through him. He's going to get an assist now and then. He's a really good option for 31 and 33. I would pick him just because of that. Look, he's so far ahead that he's clumped up the other guys on the left hand of the screen. All of them improving by fixture. Harvey Barnes there with a couple of assists, but is it warranted? Is he likely to possibly regress going forward? Hazard and Fraser with 1 assist in the last 6. So let's move on to defenders, guys. So these are the defenders, guys, that are predicted to do the best in 31 and 33. It's not surprising to see the 3 Liverpool trio up at the top. That is mainly due to their exceptional clean sheet prediction. They are really likely to get clean sheets against Fulham and Southampton. Their expected goals conceded in the last 6 is so good that it's suggesting that they are 3 times more likely than the average clean sheet conversion ratio of 27%. So effectively that is suggesting that Liverpool are likely to have a clean sheet 80% of the time in these 2 fixtures, which is much higher than the bookies, but this is my assumption, this is my model, so therefore it may be slightly optimistic, but I'm going for it. I think that they're so solid at the back that it's a good prediction, so we're going to go with it, guys. The other 3 Leicester players, that's really interesting. Their clean sheet points aren't necessarily as high as Liverpool's, but they do offer some good assist potential, and Maguire offers some good goal threat as well. Luiz there, surprised to see him further up than the likes of Azpilicueta and maybe Rudiger, but Luiz is on free kicks, so he does have a bit of goal threat there, and he can come up for headers from corners and things like that. Chelsea have got some decent fixtures. Who have they got? Everton and West Ham. So, Chelsea possibly aren't predicted to score as many clean sheets as the Leicester and the Liverpool players. But he certainly has that goal threat with those free kicks. So that's possibly why he's up there in the top 7 for defenders. So let's move on to see why these guys are predicted to do well. There we have it, guys. The reason why Luiz is in that top 7, highest for XG per shot out of those defenders, and that's mainly going to be because of his headed chances close to goal and those free kicks, really crunching those numbers with the XG per shot. Van Dijk, similar, he's got headed chances close to the goal. Those are going to generate a high XG per shot. Alexander-Arnold, similar to Luiz, he's on free kicks and he can score a cracker or 2 if allowed. That's why he's got a higher XG per shot than possibly the others. Maguire, not on free kicks, but he does have those headed chances, and he is a terror in that box at set pieces. He can, he's typically known for having a lot of attempts on goal. Maybe after the second ball or the third ball bounces off a couple of people. As expected, Chilwell, Robertson, Ricardo Pereira, they're all more creative defenders. They're all crossing in, very unlikely to have too much goal threat. So that's pretty understandable. Let's see where these guys typically shoot from. Average shooting position, guys, all matches. Maguire, Van Dijk, Luiz, that's not too unexpected. We know that they shoot, they head the ball from corners, from set pieces, so they're likely to shoot closer to goal. That's perfectly understandable. Alexander-Arnold down there because he's taking those free kicks at the edge of the box. Ricardo Pereira possibly cutting inside from that right-hand side and taking a shot. Robertson, Chilwell from that left-hand side. So I think that makes perfect sense. Let's have a look at how many shots these guys are having. Maguire and Van Dijk, quite a lot of shots. And those possibly are headed chances. Pereira and Robertson bringing up the rear there. Alexander-Arnold, Luiz. Again, those free kicks probably affecting that. So you've merged those together with the template for the quality. And Luiz is it's going to be up there for the amount of expected goal points that we're expecting to see. Maybe Van Dijk as well. But overall, probably we're not going to put my eggs in one basket and say these guys are going to go and score goals. They have a chance to, but I wouldn't expect them to, get 2 or 3 in the next couple of game weeks. So more importantly, let's have a move on and see what their creativity is like. Starting with the quality guys, the assist potential. Alexander-Arnold, I'm not surprised to see him up there with the XA per creativity, the quality of chance that he creates for his teammates. Higher up there, he swings that ball in from the right-hand side into that green zone, into that penalty box, creating really clear-cut opportunities for the likes of Firmino, Mane, possibly Salah, and potentially some of those centre defenders. Robertson, equally from that left side, but slightly less, and maybe that's because he's not necessarily on free kicks. Maybe he's on a few, but not to the extent of Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold, really good option to bring in, and he's much cheaper than Robertson. So I would go for him if you need to bring in a Liverpool defender. Ricardo Pereira up there, he's another decent option in terms of assist and creativity potential. But the big surprise here is Chilwell down at the bottom. Why is his quality so low in that creativity aspect? So a bit confused by that. Maybe he's not creating those really clear-cut, high XG chances for his teammates. So that's something to bear in mind when you're choosing between the Leicester defenders. Let's see where they typically create their chances. Understandably, Robertson and Chilwell, the edge of those boxes, making those crosses into the box. Pereira and Alexander-Arnold from that right-hand side. David Luiz, Van Dijk and Maguire were creating their chances so far deep towards the halfway line that they don't even make it onto this graph. So let's have a look at the number of chances these guys are creating for their teammates. Alexander-Arnold, far and away the more creative out of all of them, and all of them are expected to improve their creativity output in the next couple of game weeks. That's because of their fixtures, guys. But interestingly, Robertson and Alexander-Arnold up there with the assists. Chilwell and Pereira, next best for creativity. Understandably, Van Dijk, Maguire, Luiz, bringing up the rear. They're not going to be that creative, swinging in those really deep balls from the halfway line. So you marry the number of chances they're expected to create in the next couple of game weeks with that quality, and we have the expected output we've seen in those forecasts, guys. Okay, let's move on, have a look at my team for Game Week 31 with all of that in mind, and have a quick chat about captaincy. My Game Week 30 team, guys, 87 points, -4 being 83. Really good week. Had captain on Sterling all week and changed it from looking at my own analysis, so that serves me right, doesn't it? Up to an overall rank of 2,254, which I am absolutely thrilled with. My goal for this season is top 1k. I really hope I can make those strides in the sort of blank and double game weeks. So I've got one free transfer for 31, or free hit in 32, back to 33 with this team, and then a wild card 34, bench boost 35, and then triple captain slightly later in the season in a single game week, or a mini double game week if that arises. So my transfer for this week will be Sterling to Hazard, I imagine, and that will give me 11 players for 31. Really happy with that team. Strange that they're all playing away, barring Fabianski at home to Huddersfield. So hopefully that doesn't really create too many problems. I'm going to trust my analysis and captain Salah against Fulham. If that is the game to bounce back from, he can do it. So fingers crossed for Salah captain. And let's hope for another good game week in 31. Right, thanks for watching, guys. Best of luck with the game week. If you've liked the video, if you found it useful, if you want to offer some feedback on the quality of the production, then please offer your content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for some more double Game Week 32 players. All the best, guys. Take care.